fair.
In this video, I'm gonna explain my journey of trying to figure out the story of this game and showing you some things that I've yet to see anyone else discover. I want to make it very clear. This is just a theory.
Game theory!
He said the thing!
He said the thing! He said the thing! Hey guys, and welcome to GT Not Live, where this is not Stephanie.
I'm not Stephanie, no, that is well noticed.
It looks like Stephanie, but it is not Stephanie.
I'm glad you think I'm that pretty, Matt.
Keen-eyed viewers will notice not as long of hair.
That's fair.
Slightly larger build. Somewhat different accent.
Only slightly.
This is Tom.
Hi!
You've seen Tom before.
I have been here before, yes.
Usually in association with FNAF related things. Have you ever done a thing on this channel that is not FNAF related yet?
Not on GT Live, no.
Damn.
It's all FNAF.
We should give you something that isn't FNAF.
We should, but alas, today is not that day.
It could be that day, Tom.
It could be.
We could carpe that diem, seize that day, and be like, you know what? Forget the plan. Let's play Sonic Frontiers.
Yes.
It's time to play Song. Le Song. Oh, that's what all the cultured people call Sonic.
Absolutely.
Is Le Song.
Yep, that tracks. That makes sense.
That's a French. French is cultured, right?
Absolutely. Our neighbours across the channel.
Not channel as in YouTube channel as in the physical body of water.
Yes.
Yeah, right, yeah.
just to be clear.
Because we are talking in YouTube. Geography's tough.
It was never my strong suit.
Yes, so I understand. You know.
Oh no, you pressed the button.
John, you keep inserting yourself into places. John, what were we playing yesterday? Oh, we were playing Glitched Attraction, and John inserted himself into it too.
That's impressive.
John is everywhere. So I think it's time that John introduce himself. So for those of you who don't know, we are the FNAF Boys. That is what we are going to be rebranding ourselves as at this point.
Absolutely.
FNAF Boys, gonna solve FNAF Boys. That's our theme song now.
That is now our theme song.
We are living with that.
Love it.
We'll workshop it.
We'll figure it out. We'll get some producers involved.
Yeah, might want a couple. Knowing us, we'll actually do this, and then it'll become more and more increasingly complicated.
Yep.
And then we'll be like, what have we done?
Absolutely.
We'll turn it into a full-on musical number with full orchestration.
And we'll hide lore in it somewhere.
Oh my gosh! And then we could do a Shia LaBeouf, what is it? The one where he's sitting in the theater and they're doing the whole dance number, and then we're in the audience and we'll just clap and cry.
Yeah.
We were the FNAF Boys.
We were.
That was us. People will be dancing around in paper mache heads of us. But yeah, as the dedicated FNAF Boys here on this channel at least, and certainly one of the dedicated FNAF channels on YouTube, we are here to answer your request, and that request was to react to a video by our friend John. John, in case you don't know, is in charge of the FuhNaff channel. That's FuhNaff. Yeah, right. I think I know how to spell this one. Let me double check. That's FuhNaff. FuhNaff, which is going to make it hard if he ever has to pivot into Nintendo content. It's a tough rebrand there. But no, John's great. He was on our Security Breach live stream that we did in kind of the aftermath of that game. He was one of the theorists that we kind of included in that discussion. And what I really like about his stuff is he's approaching it with a very different mindset, I think. He approaches the franchise with a different mindset and asks questions that we wouldn't necessarily think to ask ourselves, right? So, for instance, going back to that live stream that we did, one of the things that really stood out to me was Scott released this, two-dimensional brawler, right? As just a meme joke game to fill the time before Security Breach because it kept getting delayed, right? And we're all like, haha, lol, look at this thing. But in there, there's the Cyber Sisters, or the Virtual Sisters, or whatever they were.
Virtual Sisters.
The Virtual Sisters, right? And it's this random boss duo that just comes out and a seeming creation out of nowhere in this game that's full of variations of characters that you see in other parts of the series. And he's like, that might have lore significance. And I'm like, you know what? He raises a good point. Like, it might. I don't know if it does, but I hadn't really considered it because I had written it off as a meme game, right?
Yeah.
And so I like the questions that he asks in a lot of cases. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the conclusions that he reaches, but I like a lot of the questions. And I think with this series, it's important to keep your mind open
Absolutely.
to questions, right? And to constantly be reassessing stuff that you thought you had previously had installed in your own headcanon.
Absolutely. In particular in this video, you see he focuses really hard on those small details.
I do not see that.
Would you not see that?
I mean, I will
we
find out
we will see that, but yeah, he's going to be focusing a lot
Thanks
on very
for the
small
spoiler
details.
alert there,
I'm
Tom.
sorry.
Someone did his homework.
I did some homework. I'm sorry. I'm a nerd.
Yeah. We all are nerds.
It's true.
It's true.
It's true. But I chat to him a lot regularly, so he focuses very hard.
Wait, are you an insider?
I'm an
Are you
insider.
are you like a double agent, Tom?
I'm not giving
Just
FNAF
like
theories.
the British!
Betraying you from the inside.
But right? Ever since the Revolutionary War, he's been waiting for this moment. He's like the second cousin of Benedict Arnold in here. The only the most well-known traitor. I'm sure that history has been full of traitors, but
Yep.
Benedict Arnold, man, he's like the guy. Like, talk about the guy who got the brand. Like, thousands of traitors across time and space, but he's the one that do you know Benedict Arnold? Did they teach you
No.
that? See, that is like
burying our history.
That is such a foundational thing that is taught in American history class. We're here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Ash doesn't have a mic, but Ash is very shouting. So yes, right?
Very shouting.
Very shouty. But no, that's don't trust the British because they might pose as your friend, nay, might even fight alongside you in your battles to solve lore.
Yep.
And then they're gonna turncoat and go work with FNAF.
I mean, how do you not know that I'm doing that to John?
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I'm double-crossing both of you.
Double cross both. To what end?
I don't know at this point.
Maybe Tom's secret plan is to collapse the franchise of FNAF from the inside. He's like, wait a minute.
This has gone
I've got
too
this
far.
really old channel that's been talking about FNAF. I got this really cool young channel that's talking about FNAF, and I hate this franchise. And so I'm going to work with both of them to slowly dismantle the... It's you, isn't it?
I'm slowly destroying this thing
The
from the
lore of
inside.
this franchise actually makes perfect sense. It's you.
Spreading discourse and deceit.
He's like,
throughout.
oh yeah, it's actually very obvious and very easy. Like,
Yeah.
you've known this entire time, but you're like, oh yeah, but what if we didn't trust everything? Or what if, what if the virtual sisters are important? You're leading us down breadcrumb trails to nowhere.
Absolutely. It's those small details, man. You got to pay attention to them. I'm telling you.
It's like, oh, well, did you count Montgomery Gator's toes? No, I didn't. Should I be? He's like,
Counting
oh.
toes, it's important.
And he says it in a British accent, which makes it seem that much more believable.
So charming.
So anyway, having exposed the conspiracy within our ranks, I have some serious questioning about my life to consider. You're probably also a robot.
I mean,
By that means.
I cannot confirm nor deny whether that is a possibility.
You can't confirm nor deny it, just like a robot would say. It's exactly what you would expect of a robot. So anyway, you guys have requested us to react to a specific FNAF video that popped up in my feed a lot recently, and I haven't gotten a chance to watch because it is 22 minutes, and I have
Who has time for that?
Apparently, you do.
Well, I have time for Twitter and seeing what he said on Twitter about it, and watching stuff occasionally at twice the speed.
So you're still on Twitter too?
I am still on Twitter.
Oh man,
all
next
that
thing you know-
discourse, man. I'm telling you, you got to seed it everywhere.
Oh, that discourse. That spicy discourse. Next thing you know, you're going to be paying $8 a month for the blue check mark.
Oh no. No, somehow no.
Somehow
Somehow
that
no.
money won't leave
That's
my
the
pocket.
line I won't cross.
Okay,
Of all the lines I will cross, that is not one of them.
Fair enough. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
this is a video I've been eager to watch, and then you guys started requesting us react to it in real time. So Tom apparently has already seen it or has skimmed through it, or I don't know what his level of knowledge is with it. But I saw the title and I'm like, this is interesting, because it says, I saw solved FNAF Security Breach. And I'm like, great, I'm glad someone did. Please,
We still haven't.
let me know. Did you come to like 5 separate conclusions? Because that's what it feels like this game has. What is that?
No, it's true.
It does, right? It's
It
like,
hurts my soul, but it's true.
it's like a choose your own adventure of lore. It's like, what lore path do you want to go down? Do you like agony fueled blobs? Woo, there you go. Do you like Vanessa being a twin of herself with the virtual sisters? Awesome. Do you want this to be completely removed from anything that came before?
That's possible.
You can choose that.
It's an option.
It's funny. It's an option, but of all the options, it should be that one and is least likely that one, to be honest. Like, as much as I would love for it to be that one, that's the one I would be like, nah, I don't think it's that one. So anyway, I've been excited to watch this. I'm excited to react to it, to do some live theory crafting about it, and hopefully use it to inform some of the stuff that we're talking about, right? I solved FNAF Security Breach. Thank goodness. Thank you, John, for doing the work.
The Lord's work.
Praise. Okay, here we go. He solved it.
I spent the last month diving back into FNAF Security Breach, trying to figure out what mysteries we've yet to
You poor
solve.
brave man. Yes, the boards. If someone has a talk about the boards, please.
And there's a lot. I feel like MatPat has taken on the bigger mysteries of this game and has largely been correct.
Yes! Done. Great. Well, thanks, guys.
Perfect video. There we go. Done.
Done and done. Perfect. See, have you... Okay, Mr. Turncoat, Benedict Arnold. Does he agree that Gregory is a robot?
He does.
Yeah! We got another one! I feel like everyone laughed at it at first, and then bit by bit, slowly people have been coming, as it's like marinated in people's heads.
Yeah.
Bit by bit. Also, on the topic of robot kids, have you looked at the next like 5 book covers? Again,
Covers and titles, yeah, no.
Sorry I bring up the books, but literally the next like 4 or 5 book covers are all like, this is a robot humanoid. This is also a robot humanoid.
Yeah.
This is also a robot humanoid. Just saying.
Robot kids are a thing, man.
Yeah, long gone are the days of robot animals. Now it's robot people.
Yep,
Just saying.
absolutely.
Okay.
The future of the franchise.
I was gonna say the future
is here.
That and Fazku. They're seeing it out. They're warming us up to the Fazku.
I'll be so sad if that comes up again. Just hurt my heart.
Strapping for a wild ride, my friend. Okay. Here we go.
But what I found is that there's still a ton of questions that have gone unanswered.
That's fair.
In this video, I'm gonna explain my journey of trying to figure out the story of this game and showing you some things that I've yet to see anyone else discover. I want to make it very clear. This is just a theory.
Game theory!
He said the thing!
He did the thing! He did the thing! Take a shot anytime he says the thing. Welcome to my life. Drink a large McDonald's Diet Coke anytime someone says the thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been awake for less than like 2 hours and I've already gone through just injected into my veins. But anyway, yes, he said the thing. So here we go. Continue.
I'm not saying any of this is fact, but I do think there are some really, really cool things that I've seen no one discover yet. So sit back, relax.
Okay, before Mr. Turncoat, Mr. Turncoat, that's your nickname.
That's now my name.
Yeah, that's your nickname. I know you've watched this, but did he talk to you about this?
He's talked to me a bit about this. He's got another one coming up soon, which is very exciting.
Wait, another one that's coming out soon?
He's
like
got
a part 2?
Yeah, I solved FNAF Part 2.
He solved it once.
He solved it.
See, this is how they get you. You solve it once, and then you solve it again, and then you solve it 50 more times.
He's playing
and then Scott's like, whoop! He yeets the lore out the window, and it all disappears.
He's playing that YouTube game, man. You gotta get the audience in
Right,
every time.
it's true.
If you keep solving it, people keep coming back.
It's like it's like a subscription service nowadays. Like, oh yeah, you can continue on this little treadmill of content. It's fine.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, I'm glad that we're 32 seconds into this 22-minute video. We're great.
We're doing well. We're doing well.
With all due grace and speed, as we often are on GT Live.
Relax, and please do not send me hate tweets on Twitter.com.
Oh, they will.
Thank you.
Man.
My story begins here.
Welcome.
The secret room of
Are you theorizing about FNAF? Are you theorizing about literally any game?
Oh, sweet summer child.
Lightning rod of hate! Welcome to the club.
of the daycare. I've always been curious about this room because we never really found out who lives here. Is it
100%.
Gregory living in the Pizzaplex because he has nowhere to go?
Great question.
Or was it Vanny plotting her plan to bring back Afton?
I'm glad. I'm excited about this because this room has bothered. I mean, there's a lot of rooms that have bothered me, but this one in particular, I feel like is so important, and we have no real satisfying explanation for it. I mean, in our theories, we said, "Oh, it's Gregory because Gregory's living in the Pizza Plex." I will say that was kind of like rushed through. There is the element of disconnecting the robots and the building of the robots in there. And there's clothes in there that look like child-sized clothing, and like there's reasons for it, but I was never fully like in love with that.
Yeah, it was one of those things when we were doing all the Security Breach series. It was kind of, this is the best fit with what we have right now.
Right, exactly.
It wasn't like we're totally 100% definitive on some of the things we came out with, because it was like, we think this works, but it's so hard. He spent months going through the fine details.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is it's such a big game that there's a lot of stuff to go through, and there's a lot of pieces in a lot of different parts that might work together in different ways, right? And I think that's the other half of this, is there's so many pieces and parts in a game this big. Whereas before, when it was like sister location and stuff, where it's literally like,
here's your screen.
Yeah, here's your screen. There, that's it.
Nowadays, every clue you need is there in front of you.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
Stop for a minute and look.
Right,
and that was
look for it, or like click the right button or whatever. Here, it's literally, here's this giant world. Also, it's a very glitchy world. Also, I don't know if that's an intended asset or not.
Yeah.
Go into the game files. I don't know if that's a legal way of looking at these clues. Cassidy is the princess and this and that. So there's a lot of stuff in there that's, it fell into this weird territory of like, was this intentional? Was it not? Was it an Easter egg? Was it not? So I'm excited what he's saying here. It's not Vanny's room. I will say that, because Vanny already has a room. It would be weird for Vanny to have another room. That, like, from a narrative standpoint, and maybe he has evidence to prove that, but like, from a narrative standpoint, it would feel sloppy to me for Vanny to be like, I live over the laser tag area, and then I also live over the daycare. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I decided to give the room a deeper look since I've never really done that before. I knew I wasn't going to find anything life-changing because we've already kind of found all the secrets in this game, or so I thought.
There's the twist. Nice, good lead-in. I like it. I'm hooked. I'm so excited.
Casually looking around, I heard this noise. Then looked down to see the glass on the floor. I never even noticed.
Huh. Okay. I have not noticed that.
Noticed the glass before this moment because it's so easy to miss in all the clutter. But the most shocking thing to me wasn't the glass, it was the fact that the glass had a sound effect.
That's fair.
In a game as huge as Security...
Again, like, just from a, like, meta standpoint of theory crafting, like, small details like that are always the thing that's... those are the things that really sell theories. Those are the things that really get you, like, hooked into the storyline. Like, oh, yeah, what about that small little thing that the character does, or that small little design detail? Like, those are the bits that really make compelling episodes. So great, I'm hooked.
Security Breach, where they reuse textures and sounds all over the place. Why place glass on the ground and take the time to add a sound effect when you walk over it? This turned my more casual lore hunt into a month-long investigation and research hunt. All it took was that...
Welcome to the club, friend.
Oh, man.
That one sound effect. In a game that's as confusing as this, I thought it'd be important to just start at the beginning. How did this all start? And the only place we can really figure that out is from the old trusty emails from FNAF AR.
Good old Mark. See, don't even get me started on the Markiplier is a canon part of this universe. Nope. See,
that's never come up again, has it? We haven't found him in Security Breach yet.
We have not found any Markiplier lore in Security. Well, but again, like, this is one of the reasons why I've largely disowned FNAF AR.
Yeah,
is because FNAF AR feels like it plays fast and loose. Like, obviously the emails are important, right? Like, I think that, and we've acknowledged that, right? The FNAF AR emails dive into this idea of, like, they're the things that set up Vanny. They're the things that set up, she's being mind wiped by this glitch trap thing, this weird virus thing. She's fighting for control over it in her own mind. So, like, all of that was set up in the AR emails. And that makes sense, right? Because they are canon written things inside this otherwise very non-canon-y feeling game. And I think, like, divorcing the gameplay of the game from the like lore or narrative of it, it's a weird distinction to make. But there's... And again, like, maybe you know the secrets and you're hiding it for FNAF or whatever. But like, the idea that Chocolate Bonnie or
Shamrock
Freddy, Toxic Foxy, like, they don't exist. Like, they can't.
They can't
exist, right? They can't.
No.
Please don't tell me they exist. And also, Remnant can't be floating around and I'm capturing it with my phone. Like, no, it has to be divorced. But the emails, I'm like, okay, that jives. That's fair.
Yeah, and as far as I'm aware, I think this is right, which is the fact that emails were being like released essentially in batches over just time. They weren't like tied to you got to level 50, therefore you unlocked this email, released, which therefore makes it even more removed because it's not just, it has nothing to do with what's happening in the game.
Right.
And so you kind of sit there and go, well, these two things can't be related from that perspective.
Yeah, 100%. No, totally. And again, like, I've talked about this in the past when talking about like theorizing in general, but especially this franchise, deciding what details do and don't matter is half the battle in a lot of cases, where you're trying to decide like, oh, the number of buttons on Freddy's chest, that used to be relevant. Is it still relevant these days? No, it's the number of toes, this and that, like largely that sort of stuff, which was the foundation of those first 4 games to figure out like, is this the same animatronic? Is this a different version? What have you? Nowadays, you have to kind of take a step back from a lot of the granular stuff and take more like large holistic looks at chunks of evidence and see like how do they fit together in a smart way. And I think that's hard, and the franchise hasn't necessarily done the best job of training the theorists who grew up with it to pivot their thinking in that way. Like, because a lot of us still have that old mindset of like, I need to count the buttons, I need to count the toes, I need to do this, and like every detail matters. Whereas nowadays you go to games like FNAF AR and Security Breach where it's like, what actually matters? Like, does the glass on them, does that matter? It's should.
So hard, and it's so hard to know.
Yeah.
To know which is supposed to be.
And it's also one of those ones where, and I think this is, again, we'll see if he goes into this, but with Security Breach, so much of it felt like Easter eggs or references rather than, or intentional misdirects rather than, oh, this is an intentional part of the lore. And to be fair, that's carrying on the tradition that Scott himself set up, right? Yes. I mean, like, there's a reason the name Jeremy is used like 5 times in the first like 5 games.
Too many times. And in the books.
Yeah, and
it shows up.
It's constant, and it's like, and we know that one of the important dead characters in the early part of the series is Jeremy.
Yep.
But when Scott's like, even in the teasers, he's like, remember Jeremy, Jeremy, the guy who sliced his face off with a paper shredder, Jeremy, the missing children's incident kid, Jeremy Fitzgerald. Like, I mean, there's so many Jeremy, and it's like, are they the same? Are they different? But Scott's intentionally trolling you to get you like hooked on the, like, it's the same Jeremy. Let's talk about that on social media, and it makes sense. But then it ends up being like, oh, it's just a different guy, and he's just been like trolling us the whole time. So like, I think Steel Wool gets a lot of heat for this game. Yeah. Because they're like, oh, I can't tell what's an Easter egg, what's actual lore, and what's important here. But they're just, in a much larger scale, carrying on a tradition that's kind of been in this franchise for a while. Yeah. To a much smaller degree, but because this game has such a big microscope on it.
Yeah, because we said that the game is so much bigger than any other FNAF game. An odd Easter egg is fine, and you go, oh, it's one detail, whereas this is like, because it's so much bigger, you multiply that by so many, and you end up with 20 Easter eggs that you're like, go, well, this feels like a lot of things now. Does it matter? Does it not? Like, how do you connect these things now? And it's actually like, oh no, it's just there for fun. Like a fetch on an arcade cabinet.
Yeah, right. The fact that things from like Tales of the Pizzaplex or Fazbear Frights is showing up on arcade cabinets. It's like, what?
Is that important? Is that connecting? Is it proof that they are fully connected universes? Or is it actually just no?
Yeah.
It was fun, we needed a character.
Right, and especially in a world where, and I know this is one of the things that people said about our recent, like, did Golden Freddy ever exist episode, where people are like, well, yeah, Golden Freddy exists because there's merch of him. And it's like, well, yeah, there's merch.
Because he's a video game character.
And also, yeah, there's merch because, there's a golden Glamrock Freddy plushie in this game. And so I understand why the knee-jerk reaction there is like, oh, that disproves your theory. I get it, but also, there's merch of tons of non-existent characters in every, like, I've never seen a chibi Mickey Mouse before, or, like, I'm sure I have, but, like, that's the first thing that comes to my mind, but they made merch of it because it's a big franchise, and so they're making merch of literally everything. There is no golden Glamrock Freddy, but that is an unlockable, thing that you can find in a toy box or in one of the gift boxes in this game. So, to say like, oh, well, Golden Freddy plushies with purple hats exist elsewhere in the franchise. Like, yes, they do. That doesn't necessarily mean that animatronic exists. And again, do I believe that he exists? Do I not believe he exists? I think that's one of the things that you and I are working on right now.
Yes, absolutely.
To come up with our definitive stance on that. Yeah. But when you look at a lot of the details that Security Breach has seeded out, and looking back on the lore kind of through this lens of what was it real, was it not, you start to kind of question, like, oh, I guess he never really has appeared outside of hallucinations, outside of merch, and outside of, the one cutscene that may or may not be canon.
Yeah.
Right. So
exactly. And it's that separation of literally having to go, is he real in the sense that he belongs to Fazbear Entertainment as an entity? As in, like, he was a physical animatronic that existed, or does he just belong as a character, an IP within Fazbear Entertainment because he was a video game character and therefore we're selling merch of him?
Yeah.
It's a really difficult line
100%.
to draw and figure, and it is that sense that we're figuring out, like, well, which of these animatronics did?
Yeah.
Do we have evidence for that existed? And like in Rockstar Row, you've got Foxy's body, so you go, well, he was clearly an animatronic, not just video game IP that they then turned into stuff. Even FNAF VR did it because they showed a picture of Nightmare Fredbear, I think, actually. And you go, well, why would they have that? Because he's a video game character, and it's not an actual animatronic that exists, but he's just, you've got in Rockstar Row, I think there's also Dreadbear's there.
Yeah.
As a character, or Nightmare Balloon Boy, and you're like, well, it's IP, it's video game IP that they're turning into characters for their franchise. It doesn't mean that the animatronic existed.
Anyway, we're a minute 44. Let's keep going.
We're doing well.
Let's stop talking about our theories, Tom.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm curious about these screws. What are they, thumb screws?
No, back when FNAF AR was alive, it was supposed to be the bridge from FNAF Help Wanted to Security Breach, effectively setting up the story for the new game. In FNAF AR, a bunch of emails were found that seemed to be a conversation between Vanessa and Lewis, both working for Fazbear Entertainment at the time. These emails showed Lewis, who works in the IT department, trying to warn Vanessa about some red flags he's finding in her search history during work hours.
Yeah, so this is the stuff where it's like, hey, you're looking up how to get human control over another human, or
human compliance in human subjects.
Yeah,
and things like that.
You're typing the word help into the Google search bar, and it's
how much can I cut someone in half before they bleed to death?
That's the one where it's like, how
cheery stuff for a work day.
Yeah, how much can you sever off a body before they die from bleeding out? Okay.
Finding that she goes from searching things like flowers and the migration pattern of bees to how far can a human being be cut in half before losing consciousness.
You watch this video.
I know the law, Matthew.
You watch this video. You secretly wrote this video, didn't you, Tom?
No, I didn't.
Flags don't get her fired because Lewis has a major crush on her and constantly asks her for coffee throughout these emails. He makes it clear that he is the one who receives all the red flag reports and that he would rather quit than file an incident report on her. As the one-sided conversation goes on, Lewis starts to get more concerned. He notices that she searched the word help and ordered a torture device.
Oh!
There it is.
But when you're actually ordering thumbscrews and having them delivered to the office,
called a thumbscrew to the office. If you don't know what a thumbscrew is, I'm not going to show an actual one on screen, but if you have this...
I mean, why? you can. There it is. Sorry.
We're not showing it like a video of live torture. But
it's like, oh no, it's going to pinch my thumbs. Okay, yeah. Okay, thumbscrew.
Yeah. Not a fun...
Okay, so she's ordering thumbscrew. Okay. I mean, that's an interesting...
stomach for it. You can Google it if you want.
It's not...
We've done it!
John, Google Safe Search exists. I don't know if you got it turned off, but like, pro tip, Safe Search is going to be your friend. Until you get into some of the weird ARGs that we research, and then you have to turn it off, and then you're going to the dark places.
That's where all the lore is hidden.
The unsafe search. FNAF lore, Safe Search on. Happy Meat Farm ARG, Safe Search off. Okay.
Lewis goes on to say that it feels like there's two sides of Vanessa, one that orders cupcake cookbooks and one that is Googling how to induce compliance in human subjects. These emails were all posted in December of 2019, which means that we found out that Vanny and Vanessa could possibly be the same person 2 years before the actual game's release.
Right, and I know that's what we talked about. Like, those were really important,
What you're thinking, are these emails even still canon? Some of these were dug up in the source code of FNAF AR and not officially released. Are those still canon? And I thought the same thing. Apparently, Scott Cawthon said he knew the emails would get out eventually, kind of confirming their canonicity, but...
Kind of confirming their canonicity? See? It's like, come on. Like, and again, you know, you get to that... I know in the aftermath of our Gregory is a robot theory, people are like, yeah, but there's this cut line from the game that may or may not support and or deny what you know, and it's like, do you count that? Do you not count that? Like, you have to decide personally. Like, there's layers of believability with evidence, right? It's like, whatever's in the game, great. That made the final cut. That is definitely part that should be considered canon.
Yeah.
Then there's a layer underneath that where it's like, well, here's the like questionably canon band of evidence where it's like, well, that could inform top level theorizing, right? It's like, you know, because this was a line that was included in the game at one point, that might inform some of the theories that you're making, or that might serve as a supporting evidence point, but you can't base your whole argument off of that cut line. Or the fact that Cassidy, that the yellow princess is named, that goes against Glitch Trap in the Princess Quest minigames, is named Cassidy in the files, right? Like, that's interesting. That can help launch into other theories, and that's a good supporting piece of evidence. But to say, like, this equals this because of this thing that may or may not be canon, that's where you start to fall into a pretty tricky territory. And likewise, right? Like, just because something is in cut dialogue or whatever doesn't necessarily disprove anything, but it might be a point against it, right? Like, with theory crafting, right, it's this constant weighing of evidence. That's because they're just theories, right? They're not facts. They're more than hypotheses, but they're less than facts, right? They are headcanons. They are theories. They're guesses that are supported by a decent amount of evidence. And so that's what you're constantly weighing, which means that you are constantly living in a gray zone, right? And it's shades of gray. And until like the creator comes out and either, you know, completely confirms or completely denies, you're always in that gray zone. And FNAF is one of those franchises that is just always in the gray zone.
Constantly.
Yeah. Whereas you have like, you know, our Super Smash Brothers theory, which was outright confirmed. So that's like, hey, woo. You know, it's nice when they confirm things, right? Is. And that's also why when Scott, back in like FNAF 4 days,
would confirm stuff.
Yeah, would confirm, especially like, Matt was right about the first 3 theories or whatever, you know, the first like 3 games or whatever, that like, great, the community solved this. And it's like, great, hold on to that. That is now your new baseline. And then what do you build on top of that?
But when you stop confirming, particularly with a franchise like this, which now has so many entries,
correct,
you're building theories upon theories upon theories. And you're just going, this is the best we can figure out.
Right.
But there's no confirmation of where the baseline is anymore. Which I think is part of why there's so much discourse over it, because everyone's working from a different textbook.
Right, yeah, everyone's working from a different textbook, everyone's working with their own, and again, I this is a fairly recent way that I've been talking about it, but like, everyone's working with their own set of Jenga blocks, right? Jenga's the game where like you're building up this shaky tower, and the higher up on the tower you get, the more shaky it is, and so if your foundation is bad, you know, it's gonna make a bad tower. And so you're stacking evidence on top of evidence based on a couple of core assumptions. And sometimes you have to go back and like, hey, how's my foundation doing? Like, is my foundation still intact or no? And again, like that's what our most recent episode was like, hey, there's been a lot of evidence maybe poking holes at the foundation, so let's just go back and reassess the foundation. So this is interesting.
But other than that, I wasn't sure until I looked around the secret daycare room. A lot of people theorized that this room and the little room under the pirate ship in Pirate's Cove belonged to Gregory, living at the mall because he has nowhere else to go. But if you look at the clothes hanging next to the arcade machine, those are adult clothes.
I mean, that suit is tall. For the Glamour Freddy suit is long. Like,
is the suit tall?
You look where the ankles on that suit are.
I'm gonna here. Let me measure him with my trusty pixel measurer in this case. Hold up, I'm just measuring.
But like,
so he's about 1 remote control tall. Okay. Yeah. No. It's you got an
that's
extra
an adult suit.
That is.
And those are.
So this is about here.
Yeah. And that is long.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Those are adult clothes. I agree. Adult.
So if it's not Gregory, who is it?
Okay.
Well, let's keep looking. In the box right in the middle of the room, there's a few things. One of them being a cupcake tin. Remember, Lewis mentioned that Vanessa...
the box. He's bringing up the boxes, which when I've done my research on this, there's some weird stuff in the boxes, and I'm interested to see where he's going with this, because I know there's a box under a box that I stumbled across one time when I was looking up notes in the game, and it had numbers on it, and it wasn't binary, because I'm like, oh, it's the binary stuff from the post-it room, but no, this is different, so okay.
Likes cupcakes. But the biggest piece of evidence was right in front of us the whole time. Right on the table in the main room is a thumbscrew. The same thing.
Hold up. What? No! Hold on, thumbscrew. This
is why we need to Google it.
Right, this is why you gotta show it. I mean, It's pretty close. I mean, I definitely see. I definitely see the resemblance.
Yes.
And I'm not being like. I see it, but I also see, like, in the context of this is a room full of robotic parts and wires. Yeah. I could also see that being like a cord manager. Like I'm wrapping a cord around this thing. Yeah, but it does have the. I mean,
it has the two.
It does have the
two poles that you're screwing in essentially to clamp it down. Although they're very long. They're very long for a thumbscrew.
Interesting. That's okay. I mean,
yeah,
it's a pretty valid interpretation. Yeah, and I guess you are able to slide it up and down. And
yeah,
maybe pushing down on the sides. Huh. That's okay.
That Lewis mentioned Vanessa ordered to the office. This
object
doesn't appear anywhere else in the entire game.
Really?
It was made specifically for this room. And also, what happens when you jump onto the platform that Sun jumps off of and look down? Flowers. Lewis mentions that Vanessa likes flowers, cupcakes, and ordered a thumbscrew to the office.
Huh.
Match that with the sticky note over here depicting a beach with a crab and seashells, just like the other hideout in Pirate's Cove. At this point, I was losing my mind because just like the 3 pixels of Chica's beak in the FNAF 4 minigame, this little thumbscrew in a secret
the Chica's beak. Infamous. Infamous.
This game seemed to solve the mystery.
3 orange pixels changed everything. I love it.
Those were the days.
This franchise, man. 3. I mean, he's not wrong. It's in this franchise. Sometimes those small, like, there's been those moments, right? It's the 3 small pixels that were Chica's beak. There was the bonging of the FNAF 4 clock. That symbolized the end of nights, which was different from the alarm clock setting that you had in all the other games, which indicated that you are in a home environment as opposed to, the bonging in the first 3 games as opposed to the alarm clock in the 4th game, which is a subversion of what you would expect, which, proves, that was the clue that we missed in FNAF 4. And then here, this is it's cool. I like this.
The FNAF AR emails actually play a bigger role than I originally thought.
Oh no, not FNAF AR!
Seemingly connects the content of FNAF AR to this game, but we still don't have a definitive answer for who is occupying this room.
It should be Vanessa. Okay, so again, we'll see where he's going with it, but it should be Vanessa, right? Because she ordered thumbscrews.
Yep.
She likes cupcakes. She likes
flowers.
So. It seems like he's lining up for Vanessa, yeah? I mean, it makes sense. And I think that's totally valid. Like, again, if she ordered a thumbscrew and there's a thumbscrew in there, and if she likes cupcakes and there's cupcake, like, it should, and there's adult clothing, so it's Vanessa. So she's
definitely
living
be
in
Vanessa, but what if I told you it could also be Lewis? The one person who is extremely concerned about Vanessa and who admits in the emails that her red flag orders get sent to him. That would explain all the boxes in the room filled with things she likes, like nail files, a cupcake tin, and the thumbscrew that...
So his premise is that he's buying them for her?
No, I think what his premise is he's saying because, and this is where I'm not totally convinced, is because he's saying the red flag orders go to Lewis. So where Lewis is going, hey, I'm getting red flag orders that you're ordering thumbscrews to the office or getting flowers or cupcakes or whatever it is. But the red flags are emails. He gets an email saying, there's a red flag because you've received like a package or you've ordered a package and it's red flagged on my system, the receipt, because I've noticed the word thumbscrew.
He's getting warnings.
He's not
getting the physical packages.
No, at least not as far as I could tell.
Right.
From the emails. It's very
much... That would be a weird business.
It'd be weird for it to go to the IT department.
Yeah.
Before going... It's like...
Well, here's your thumbscrew. Check it out. Oh, that was... Yeah.
Yeah,
they would get a red flag.
Yeah, it might go to a post room if you had one of those, but it's...
Oh, post room. He's so British.
Yes, we are. Don't go. But yeah, so if
Benedict.
Yeah, okay. I know who that is.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's an important figure in American history.
Yeah, well, you only got 200 years to learn, so it's not that bad.
Wow. Wow. Well, way to age shame. Ageist. Jeez. Just because we're cool and hip and know how to floss.
Yes, that thing.
Know what the word cap means.
Oh,
Bet.
I too have been talking to Ash.
Darn it, Ash was my ace in the hole. He's figured us out, Ash. He knows our secrets. Benedict strikes again. All right, here.
That might have been thrown in with it all. What if Lewis is the one hiding in the mall trying to figure out what Vanessa is up to? Need more proof? In the secret room right next to the hanging clothes, you can see a duffel bag containing a message. The message that you find is titled Arcade Conspiracy. The message reads, Exit interview. They are working together. The arcades, they are hiding something. The glitches, glitch them all at the same time, then the princess will recognize me. She's testing me. I am not yet worthy. The others are protecting it. Let me stay. I am so close. Just one more night, please. I can save the princess. This is one message in a series of messages from someone who works at the company who is investigating the Princess Quest arcade machines.
There's a Princess Quest. Yeah. No, I know that there's a meta narrative, and I always thought that it was interesting that there was a meta narrative of someone who was trying to solve the Princess Quest stuff. Yeah, 100%. There is an ongoing storyline there, huh?
Although this employee is never named, the message right before this one is titled Red Flag. The one thing the message right before this one
I did what you wanted. Okay.
Is titled Red Flag. The one thing that Lewis said he's in charge of. Need more proof? Well, let's look around. Remember the box we found the cupcake tin in? Yeah. See how it's sitting on top of another box? If you look into that box at a certain angle, you can see a note with the numbers 1, 4.
Yeah, 100%. You see that and you're like, that is important. And I couldn't figure. I hope he figured it out because I saw this and I'm like, I don't know where this fits in.
1. Now, where in this game can you find something with the numbers 141 in it? Let me point you towards the retro CDs, specifically retro CD number 5, 7141. This.
Okay.
This is one of the only CDs that mentions Lewis. Let's take a listen.
Good morning, Vanessa.
One of the only CDs. So,
There's 2 that mention Lewis.
See, okay.
So there's this one and there's one other. Because Vanessa, on 2 occasions, talks about, I talked to Lewis in marketing, which is also weird, because he's in the IT department.
Right, because he's IT.
But yeah, there's 2 occasions where I was like, I like talking to Lewis, he's funny, and I sometimes get messages from Lewis, he's in the marketing department. I think like the 2 times he gets mentioned. This is just one of the ones he gets mentioned in.
Okay.
Let's jump right in, shall we? I got a message last night about you. And I have to be honest, it was upsetting. Apparently, the IT department has put together a pretty lengthy report chronicling non-job related communications that have been coming to your computer.
Okay.
What bothers me about what I read is that the messages you're getting seem very manipulative in nature.
But, so, because those red flag reports are Vanessa sending out emails or receiving, like, it's orders and stuff she's making which are red flagging.
Those are red flagging.
Whereas this tape or CD is saying that the red flags are to do with incoming communications from someone else.
Yeah, which has always been weird to me.
Yeah, that's always been a thing we've not been able to connect. But that's the difference between what the AR emails are suggesting with red flags versus what this is suggesting the IT department is giving.
Well, and presumably, what is it? Patient 46 is the one who's sending those manipulative emails to Vanessa.
We believe so, yeah.
Right.
It makes the most sense for it to be that. Yeah.
Right? And then the question is like, well, who is that? Right?
Yeah.
And that's always the trick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get a lot of messages from friends. I like when Lewis writes to me. He's funny.
I'm not talking about Lewis. You know who I'm talking about.
I'm not in the tech department. I just type on the computers.
I know that. But what matters here is...
Also, I think it's funny. I've always thought it's funny that Vanessa's voice doesn't really match her as she walks. Like
it's a totally different tone.
It's a completely different tone. And I know that she's like, oh, she's possessed by an animatronic. She's possessed by, whatever, Afton or whatever. She's the reluctant follower, maybe. But, like... I always thought that this voice and like who we see roaming around the Pizzaplex with security, the security flashlight and stuff. Don't quite match what I would expect Vanessa to sound like.
That this person who is contacting you knows a lot about you.
Lots of people know more than I do. Sometimes I need to listen.
Ominous! So, 141. It does mention Lewis. And here's the thing, I'd have to go back and look more deeply at a lot of these clues, but my initial gut impulse, I don't doubt that Lewis is the one trying to put together the arcade conspiracy. That makes sense to me, because he's the guy, he strikes me as the type who would do that sort of thing, you know, like based on his personality, based on his love of Vanessa or whatever, like based on his job too, right? Like he's the IT guy, he's getting red flags. One of the employees that he takes a particular interest in is acting suspiciously. Yeah. Let's check out these arcade... Like, that feels in line. Yeah. Does that feel in line with him living in the Pizzaplex? No.
It's one of those things where, because those maintenance logs talk about, like, that last one that you get in that room, it says, one more night, is his exit interview.
Right, and
he's being fired at some point.
Right.
Which...
Probably for HR violations, because, you know, he's pretty creepy in his emails to Vanessa, which is a joke that we've made.
He should have been,
yes. It's not great. It's not a great look.
But therefore it's going, okay, so would he have then stayed in the Peace Place after being fired? Because he's so desperate to solve it, and so he's like hiding out?
I mean, he could. He could, but that still doesn't explain... Like, here's the thing. He could be in there. I don't doubt that. But the cupcake tin, the thumbscrew, and all of that, like, that still those aren't directly indicating him living there. Like, that indicates to me that Vanessa, at some point, was using this as her base of operations, or living up there, or whatever.
Yeah.
And now Lewis might be following her tracks, right? Yeah. Because, again, you have to think, like, just because Lewis is mentioned in conjunction with cupcake tins and thumbscrews and this and that, those things were going to Vanny. They were going to Vanessa, right? Like, those are her things. So she's ordering them maybe from that room in the Pizzaplex, and it seems like Lewis is following behind them.
Yeah, and this is the other thing as well, is at the very end of Vanessa's tapes, the last of hers, she's transferring. She's moving somewhere. She goes, I'm needed somewhere else, thank you. Which is ominous, but this is where, again, like you talk about cut content supporting evidence, because one of the cut emails from FNAF AR is her transferring from security to security, and it's transfer, and we believe that to mean she's transferring from her current job within Fazbear Entertainment to the Pizzaplex, which means that Lewis wouldn't be in the Pizzaplex because he's working for the original company, part of the company, the original department or whatever it was. Like,
well, maybe he moved on to marketing.
Maybe he moved into Fazbear, so he followed Vanessa, which is probably more HR violations. Sure. But yeah, that is possible.
I mean, that's interesting. I mean, that could be, But yeah, I think, and again, like, these clues can be taken a lot of ways. But the fact that just because Lewis is associated with things doesn't necessarily mean
it is him.
It is him, right? Like, to me, those clues belong to Vanessa, and Lewis is associated with those clues and a part of that narrative, but they aren't his, they're Vanessa's, and he's kind of like following in that footstep. But especially the emails solving the Princess Quest conspiracy, those feel like Lewis's, or whoever that person is, that feels like that clump of clues, and it feels like that's probably more associated with Lewis than anything else, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Vanessa says
it's a good observation. Here's the thing. Great observation, and I'm really excited that someone is looking closely at that room, because, you know, you have to take it by chunks, because there's so much in this game, and so it's smart to kind of take that chunk. It's good. Still haven't answered the glass, though. Why is the glass there?
Important.
Does he answer the glass?
I don't think he answers the glass.
Are you kidding me?
Does he?
He makes such a big deal about the glass.
But it's like a starting point. It goes, it made me look at this room more, and that was kind of, I think, the initial. I can't remember.
But that's the Chekhov's gun that he needs to fire. Okay.
Well, let's see if he fires
Part of this email that Lewis sent Vanessa. Hey Ness, it was really great talking to you today. I think that might be the first time we've actually had an in-person conversation. I had no idea you were into IT stuff. I always think my job sounds so boring, but you were so interested it made me start thinking, hey, maybe IT is cool after all. Or maybe you're just a good listener.
Lots of people know more than I do. Sometimes I need to listen.
Well, between that tape and her interactions with Lewis, she learned how to be a listener. Being possessed by an animatronic,
that helps.
The evil spirit helps.
To play a bigger role in this game than I thought they would. Everyone, including me, thought Steelwool scrapped the story they originally started with because we figured it out beforehand. But what if we
didn't think I've never thought that they scrapped it. I want to be clear about that. I don't what.
No, I'm listening. I'm listening intently.
What? No, I mean, what? The Vanessa becomes Vanny storyline and stuff. Like, and I've just always assumed that. I don't think they've ever scrapped it. I think they added other stuff, but I don't think they scrapped the. Again, like Vanessa and I still adhere to the fact that Vanessa and Vanny are the same person, and that she did start at this company and move over. Like, I don't. Yeah, do you think that? Do you think that they've completely upended it?
I don't know.
I think the core elements, what they set up in FNAF, what whoever sets up in Illumix, I guess it was. What they set up in FNAF AR pays off here. You see a security guard named Vanessa who. There's two of her. Yeah, I get it. But like, who should be the one wearing a bunny suit, romping around, potentially killing people?
Yeah, and I think it's. Because I think Dan actually talked about this on our live stream way back. It's that thing of you look at that first or that trailer we got prior.
The trailer.
So it's like, and so I think that's where that idea comes from. They changed a lot or something because they clearly had all this voice, all these dialogue, all this idea. Like Afton felt like he was going to be a big part of the story. It felt like Vanessa's like betrayal might have been a big thing, and like Monty had lines, which is weird.
Monty seemed like he was being set up as an antagonist.
Exactly, and then suddenly none of that really paid off. And even Vanessa and Vanny are a tiny fraction of that game now, as opposed to being set up to be like one of the main villains of that game. And so while I don't disagree with you, because I think, like you say, like 80% of it is kind of still there, and then they've tacked on 20% to like throw you off the scent. It feels like, so they've added stuff rather than totally, but I think that's where the general consensus for that idea of, did they scrap the game? Did they like essentially restart it?
Yeah, and I guess that's a good point, and I think that's the nuance of the conversation here, where it is Vanny is security guard. Vanny may have at one point been possessed. Yeah, I guess so, because all the emails indicate that Vanny is possessed by Springtrap, Glitchtrap, what have you, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess I expected, you're right, going into it, I expected more of this like duality of Vanny versus Vanessa.
Yeah.
And
Vanessa's set up in the trailer as to help you.
Right.
Like, we're going to get you out of here, and she's a friendly face, essentially, and then Vanny's the one trying to kill you.
Yeah,
and so
and then it's
having
like,
that duality of like, is this her? Yeah, like you're saying.
You're right. So I guess in the broadest of broad strokes, Vanessa is a security guard. Great. So I guess they kept that.
Yep.
Well, and I guess part of me has rationalized this or assumed that they did what a lot of FNAF games do, which is a lot of the storytelling happens between games, which is weird in this franchise. But the example that I always point to is a baby, right? So Ennard at the end of Sister Location it has baby in her, or in it. It is part of the tribe, right? But then fast forward to FNAF 6, and all of a sudden, Baby and Ennard Molten Freddy are two separate entities. And you're like, what happened? Why is that a thing? And all of that development happened in the website source code of two different websites, ScottGames.com and FNAFWorld.com.
Yep.
So, and again, this goes to the point of like, you can't just rely on the games to solve the lore, because a lot of the lore and a lot of the most important elements of the lore
have never been solved in the games.
Never happened in the games. If you're just going off of the games, it's like Baby and Ennard are one thing. What happened? And you know what happened. They got into a fight in the website source code of FNAF World. and so I guess part of me knowing, and again, that's one of those foundational things where I'm like, I see this franchise as all one thing. Like, I don't even think about the game. I don't even think about the game. I think about the games way too much, but I think about the games in conjunction with everything else because it's been set up that way.
Yeah.
But I look at this game and I'm like, in the intervening time since the AR emails and security breach, Vanessa has figured out how to offload, or Afton is taking control of her to build a pod in the basement so he can rebuild his body, and she's starting to transfer that consciousness into him, which is why she's suddenly not a reluctant follower anymore. She's just there. Like, those are the logical jumps that I have made in my own personal headcanon as I think about this, because I'm like, this is one of those times where all the like intervening lore and connective tissue lore is just assumed. Because a lot of times you're just having to make assumptions about this sort of stuff. So anyway, when I said, like, oh, it hasn't changed, I guess it has, and especially compared to the trailer. You're totally right. The trailer was vastly different. And I guess when we did our first theory, I'm like, you're going to have to decide whether or not you trust Vanessa. And even Steel Wool wrote back to me being like, wow, it's like you have a guy on the inside. I have my own Tom at Steel Wool Studios.
There you go.
My own Benedict, who's fiend. I don't, but like, I just read the clues. And then they're like, we need to obscure this even more, and now you get the
now you get two Vanessas and all that jazz.
Interesting. Okay.
Didn't figure out all of it yet. What if, at least for some parts, they're telling the story they've been meaning to tell since 2019? Spoiler alert, they're not. At least I think. Let me show you what I found. After looking at all the evidence, I firmly believe that Illumix and Steelwool were trying to tell two versions of the same story. Or Illumix was trying to set up the story for Security Breach, and Steelwool decided to retcon some of it. And the proof for this statement...
or they just weren't paying enough attention to the details, which, let's be honest, is very easy to do in this franchise at this point. Like, there's a lot of stuff to keep track of.
Comes from somewhere that you will not expect. Back when FNAF AR was announced, Illumix made a fake Reddit account under the name user 5541GGNI.
I feel like I knew this at one point.
Using this account to respond to people expressing their excitement for FNAF AR. But the FNAF community quickly figured out that this was no random fan, it was Illumix themselves.
It was a robot kid!
The account then revealed itself to be Illumix and posted an odd paragraph detailing some lore about the game. In this paragraph, they explained that the animatronics have been acting weird because of some bad code, and that some QA testers left as a result of a failed test case. Does that sound familiar? Because it's the same story from FNAF VR Help Wanted. Someone scans a circuit board from an animatronic into the system, leading to one of the QAs, Jeremy, to become, let's say, a failed test case.
Jeremy!
We find out in more emails from FNAF AR that the bad code turned out to be a virus that was put in their system when they scanned the circuit boards of one of the vintage animatronics. The company panics, trying to reach out to James Campbell from Fazbear Entertainment to get some help, but he never responds. Eventually, someone does respond, and it's Vanessa, claiming that she's from Fazbear Entertainment and that she talked to Jim, aka James, who she likely killed, and she can help them if they give her full access to
I like that that's just casually thrown in. Who she probably killed. Really? I think that might be a logical leap. Who she likely killed.
Those emails are... James Campbell, is that what he's saying?
To reach out to James Campbell from Fazbear Entertainment to get some help, but he never responds. Eventually, someone does respond, and it's Vanessa, claiming that she's from Fazbear Entertainment and that she talked to Jim, aka James, who she likely killed. And
I mean,
it's possible.
I'm sure.
She can help them if they give her full access to their system. The
easier way to say it is like, she got in some way through like some means, maybe she hacked into the system, like to blackmail him, or there's a lot of ways to say it. A kill is strong.
Trusting her and giving her full access.
But it's also not important. Like, again, when it comes to the franchise, what is important, what isn't, that
now Vanessa has full access to...
They're just moving plot pieces around.
Send killer animatronics wherever she pleases, maybe to get rid of some therapists who are getting too close to the truth.
That's interesting.
That's interesting!
The body was pretty messed up. It looked like it was mangled by machinery.
But I believe Steelwool decided to take things in...
I've never thought about that. That's interesting, because this whole time I've assumed that 46 is the one killing... Like, 46 is the one who's doing the killing of the therapists. And not only that, but, like, is the robot... Again, when they're like, it was slaughtered by machinery. So in my mind, and again, this is just a logical jump, or an assumption that I might have made too quickly, which is, then that means if 46 is the one doing the killing, they're doing the killing themselves, and that person then must also be an animatronic or robot in some capacity. Like, I've always connected those three dots, but no, he's right. You could send... AR.
But in saying that, the therapists continue dying after Vanessa stops. She stops midway through, doesn't she? So So she stops having therapy at some point, moves on to the security post. And two more therapists die.
Which is why I've always... why 46 is
because Vanessa also is surprised by the fact that, like, you could say she's a very good actress, but you go, like, she's surprised when a new therapist says, you're not my regular.
So, sorry, I missed that point. So he's saying that Vanessa's sending the...
because in the AR emails, later on in the AR emails, she does... They're going like, Vanessa sorted everything. it's great, like all that time. And then later on, they're going, I'm being kicked out of our own system. I'm being locked out. I can't get in. Is Vanessa still trying to access our system? Why is she doing that? And so I think that's where he's connecting dots, going, oh, well, she's now got access to the system, who are sending out the animatronics for a special delivery. And so, the logic there tracks, but then the retro CDs and Security Breach don't track.
Yep, makes sense. Yep, no, I agree.
In a different direction, seemingly splitting up the actions of Vanessa and FNAF AR between Vanessa and Patient 46. Since 46 was revealed to be the hacker who wasn't surprised that the therapists were going missing. This was the frustrating part of doing this research, because some things connect to the FNAF AR emails.
I mean, 46 in general is frustrating, right? Like 46 is billed to be this like evil mastermind, but also maybe the size of a kid who needs the word hacker explained to them. So, you know, like 46, a lot of the problems with Security Breach, I think, ultimately boil down to them obfuscating who 46 is.
Yeah.
Like, I think if we knew or had a better, more clear idea of who 46 is in a definitive way, that would give us an anchor point to fit in all these other dots or connect some of these other pieces. But the fact that 46 is supposed to be manipulative, evil mastermind, also a kid who doesn't fit in chairs and needs the word hacker explained to them, but also maybe an employee of Fazbear, and also maybe walking alongside Glitchtrap or Vanny one of the nights because they're seen walking alongside a bunny ear costume, but also maybe they're blurry on camera with an illusion disc because they're not appearing. Like, there are so many things that 46 is supposed to like encompass or serve as an umbrella.
Yeah.
Like 46 is the important part. It's the hub of everything. And the fact that it is so obfuscated as to who that person is.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, like, we've come up with our theories, but again, we've talked about how not all the pieces don't fit together in a satisfying way.
Which is why we threw out, it's like, there is every possibility this is a new character that we just do not know.
Right.
Which would be the worst thing for the lore.
Yeah.
But it's entirely possible.
I mean, it would be the best and the worst, right? Like, in a storytelling standpoint, it's like, well, this solves our problem because it's something that no one knows, you know? But from a, hey, we've set up a lot of clues for you to solve and it should point you in this direction,
but we haven't given you the answer,
Yeah.
So well, and then some things don't. For example, Lewis works in the IT department in the FNAF AR emails, but in the Retro CDs and Security Breach, Vanessa says he works in the marketing department. In the FNAF AR emails, Vanessa is revealed to be 23 years old with a birthday in September of 1997.
I see that's a bit of a leap. 97?
Yeah.
I get why he would say that, but also that's a bit of a logical leap.
Yeah. We know it's September for sure.
Yeah.
Which would place Security Breach in 2020. We can even figure out the exact month it took place through the security reports from these emails, showing that the virus entered their systems in September. But within my lore hunt, I actually found out that Security Breach takes place in March. How? Throughout the mall, there's these magazines, and the Chica one seems to be very blurry, but the Freddy one seems clear as day. On it, you can see it says Spring Edition. Need more proof? One of the biggest mysteries about Security Breach.
I like his catchphrase, need more proof.
Need more proof.
Need more proof. Zoom, need more proof. It's great. I like it. I like it a lot.
For me were the whiteboards outside of the party rooms in the daycare. I wrote them off as just random numbers and letters to fill space, but if you look closer, they actually begin to make sense using the erased writing as hints. The first column represents how many kids in which
erased writing?
Yeah, you can see some very faint
in
between the lines.
That's great. That's good. See, and again, this is why Security Breach is frustrating, because on one hand, it's a game that rewards you looking too closely at random stuff, like at some things, but then also at the other end, it's like, well, is it rewarding you for looking too closely at some of this stuff?
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Animatronic will be at the party. The second column represents how many parents will be at the party, and the third column represents the date of the party. All of them close together and all in the month of March.
50.
So 15 FR, so you've got Freddy, you've got Monty, Chica.
Roxy. Chica, Roxy. Yeah.
So 15
parents,
is the name of the people. Five parents.
And then this is date?
Yeah, the 15th of March.
And then Bendy and the Ink Machine. Every time I see this, it's Bendy and the Ink Machine. Every time.
Bendy and the Machine.
Yeah, I just forgot the I. It's fine. Bendy and that machine.
Great.
Do we know Bat Mitzvah?
Yeah.
Oh, and then graduation?
Yeah.
Birthday 1, birthday 8?
So, yeah.
Gina.
I don't think even he knows what that one
Gina.
means.
What would that be? Birthday 13. Sorry, now I got him on foot.
No, you got
because all the rest of them make sense.
Yeah.
Gina?
Is this some American holiday I'm unfamiliar with?
God. Ash, do you know? I'm curious. Like, anything come to mind?
Good night. Not Ash.
That's
very, very specific
you're right.
party
It's
request.
the good night, not Ash party. That's right. Good. Yep, that's it. Nice. Nailed it. Solved. That's as good as any of our theories. Throw it up there. Yeah, stuff supported by evidence. Great.
And all these dates fall right.
Gina's weird. It's also one of the highlights. It's
two of them, yeah.
Huh.
Because you've got the big one.
Right.
And then the small one as well. So it shows up a couple of times.
Under the erased word that says date. The last column is the reason for the party. Birthday, graduation, bat mitzvah. I just couldn't
he did say bat mitzvah.
figure out GNNA.
Right? What is that? The Kinston era. Nope. Not even close.
If you have any ideas for what that could mean, please leave them in the comments below.
I will leave them in the comments below if I come up with it.
It takes place in March.
I'll make a YouTube short out of it. I'm curious now. That bothers me because he's totally right. This is great, by the way. John, congratulations. This is fantastic. I don't know if you're right. I don't know if you're wrong. I agree with some of this. I disagree with some of this, but I think it's great.
Which kind of messes with my theory that the game takes place on Vanessa's birthday in September, like the emails say, and my connections to that and the birthday poster in the daycare room and all of the birthday drawings in the sewer room, but whatever. For the record, Lewis's birthday takes place in March, so the birthday poster could be for him. Congratulations, you're now experiencing the constant back and forth that I've been experiencing for the past month.
Congratulations, John. You're now experiencing the constant back and forth I've been feeling for the last decade and a half. Welcome to the club.
Absolutely.
Big old virtual hug.
Making connections that I haven't seen anyone else talk about. When you look at all the duffel bag messages from Security Breach in order, they start to tell a few separate stories. The first is about some loud clanging coming from the vents. Thank you for contacting low-budget building contractors. We've done a preliminary inspection and find nothing wrong with your ventilation system.
Because we find them in the vents.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Loud clanging, banging, and scraping noises, which were reported, don't appear to be reproducible. Call us if it happens again. Invoice attached. Keith. I still can't find what is making all the clanging noise in the AC system. This is the 5th visit this week. If I could reach that stupid vent behind the exercise maze room, I could get to the catwalks over Gator Golf and take a look. Maybe someone who works in Mazercise knows how. I believe all the banging and scraping noises in the vents is the blob slowly collecting all of the old animatronics, that's sneaking through the mall.
That's what I thought for a while, but so you're saying it's Music Man?
I mean, well,
because it's both.
It could be both.
It could be both.
Because there is Music Men in the vents, and they make a clanging sound, but it is a sound they can't recreate, which is the interesting note. Because the Music Man, as much as they don't have the Music Men to do a test, it's metal on metal. Yeah. So you could
do
bang
that, whereas
a metal rod in a vent.
Tentacle blob is
going to be hard to recreate. Yeah.
And I mean, in the books. The blob is known and is synonymous, or whatever, black tentacles, right? Because the books haven't really introduced the blob, but it was like
sliding through the walls and
sliding through the walls. They repeat. So, but I mean, I think both interpretations are valid. This is one of those it's one of a minor
all through the vents. And I believe Vanessa catches on to this and tries to stop it. How does she try to stop it? Well, the animatronics and endos are too big to crawl into the vents, so she finds something smaller. Well, somehow someone broke into a Rockstar Row display case and stole the wind-up Music Man prototypes.
Go get a Music Man! Music Man!
Just staring at the blob.
Right, big Music Man gets the big meme. Mini Music Man gets Music Man! That's what he gets.
There it is.
That's what I'm giving him now.
There we go.
It is canon.
Until
I retcon it.
Smashed and there's glass on the floor, but no sign of a break-in. Nothing else seems to be missing. I have no idea how they got into the building, and there's nothing on the security footage. Now what should I do? Should I call the police and report a break-in? Vanessa is using those Music Man prototypes
to but she's reporting
call
herself?
the police and
somehow someone broke. Oh, so she's like trying to cover and stole the wind-up Music Man prototypes. The case was smashed and there's glass on the floor. Yeah, that feels.
report a break-in? Vanessa. Vanessa is using those Music Man prototypes to man the vents and ward off the blob. How did she cover up the fact that she stole the prototypes? Well, she's the head of security, so she probably deleted all the footage of the crime. Did a self-report specifically mentioning the glass on the...
So she's covering up, that's confusing. So she's sending an email reporting her own crime.
It's a lot of assumptions you have to make in terms of like she's deleting her footage. Like we've got no evidence that any footage ever gets removed or deleted. So it starts to stretch. Yeah, it's telling the narrative as opposed to looking at evidence.
Right.
Floor and then swept the glass up. How do I know she swept up the glass? Because the one place we see broken glass is where this video began, in the secret room right next to a broom. These messages...
Okay, it's a glass. It pays off.
It does pay off.
She cleaned up the glass and then she's like, "Where do I put this? Well, not in a trash can. And I think in my room."
I think that's kind of because it's removing evidence from like anywhere that anyone else would find. I think it's kind of what he starts to lead into because I thought the idea was there in Rockstar Row originally. I thought that was where it makes sense.
That would make sense, right? Yeah, it's a Music Man prototype.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lead right into our next story, the catwalks over Monty Golf. In one of the previous messages, the maintenance worker mentions needing to get to the vent behind Mazercise to see what's making all the noise. This is one of the many times Mazercise and the vent behind Mazercise that connects to the catwalks over Monty Golf is mentioned. The maintenance employees, Monty is seen skipping performances and being found in the catwalks, and another employee just wants to find the key to the controls for the maze. They write, "Where is everyone? Leo was the only one who had a copy of the maze control key, but I haven't seen him for months. Maybe that creepy bot knows where he is. Leo was supposed to train it to work the maze, instead he tricked the bot into doing busy work under the daycare theater. I'll check after the all-staff meeting tonight." Leo hasn't been seen for months because Vanessa killed him. She wanted to be the only one accessing that vent behind Mazercise to make sure of that.
Vanessa killed them.
Yeah, right, but Vanessa killed him. It's the dream. It's FNAF's dream theory. Vanessa killed him. Vanessa bumped that one up. Literally, at this point, everyone is dead because Vanessa has killed everyone in this building.
Yeah.
The one who programmed the bot, and the bot wasn't programmed just to do busy work under the daycare theater. Vanessa programmed the bot to protect the Mazercise control key that she stashed there. When you first walk underneath the daycare theater, you're met with a bunch of endoskeletons that are not active. They only activate once you grab that Mazercise control key. And to top that all off, what sweatshirt is hanging in the secret daycare room? The Mazercise sweatshirt. Vanessa made sure that no one was accessing that vent.
There's other. I mean, like, yes, but there's other ones.
That's a stock asset, essentially.
I was gonna say, like, there's other things there. It's a bit stretchy. I get it. Like it's a piece of supporting evidence, but is it enough to need more proof? I do. In that case, yes.
I'm honestly not sure. It could be because Monty Golf was the last known whereabouts of Bonnie before he was decommissioned, and Vanessa wanted to make sure no one was around when she made Monty destroy Bonnie so she could use his endo to rebuild Afton, or it could be something completely different. The Monty one is my idea, but if you have any ideas, please leave them below. Our next big mystery is about the staff meeting. There are 5 messages that talk about this staff meeting. We find out that the staff meeting takes place on Thursday at 11:30 p.m., 30 minutes before the mall locks down and the security doors shut. It's revealed that one of the employees is scared of getting fired if they don't attend the meeting, and that the meeting will have cake being served. We find out through this message that the meeting was to tell all of the night staff that they're being replaced by the staff bots and to, quote, enjoy the additional time spent with your families. If you don't look further than that, it's not too interesting. Obviously, the company is cheap and wants to save money on labor, so they just replace their real employees with staff bots. But where did this meeting take place? I'll tell you. It took place here, right where you find the message from the meeting.
Sorry, no, I agree, John. No, I agree. I just assume because the message, I think, the pink slip message is in that room, right? So that one was very explicit to me. I didn't think that was a mystery.
As you can see, this room is demolished. For the most part, the Pizzaplex is fairly clean except for this room. I believe that Vanessa wanted to be the only human working the night shift, effective immediately, using the endos to kill all of the staff just like she used them to protect the Mazercise control key. Remember that employee that said they were going to grab the Mazercise control key from under the daycare?
But he talks about one bot there.
Yeah, that
creepy bot. And yet there are lots of endos. And that always felt weird to me. Like, I expected there to be a new animatronic or something that's a bit weird.
Yeah, it does feel like there was like a big, massive killing off. Vanessa killed him in that room. Like, that room and, like, the whole, like, team meeting, and it's, like, a weird purge in there. That's always struck me as a little bit weird.
Yeah.
But, again, if you go to the books, the books talk a lot about how Glamrock Bonnie or some equivalent, right?
Yeah,
goes on a rampage and rips everyone to shreds.
In the new teasers of the pizza.
Yeah, in the new teasers. Yeah, and so Tales of the Pizzaplex 1, they bring Bonnie online. It's unclear whether it's Bonnie or if it's Springtrap or like some fusion of the two.
It's a bunny animatronic endo of some kind.
It's the bunny animatronic endo that is of the ilk of the Glamrocks.
It's the Glamrock size,
but he's all dirty and he looks like he's corrupted by a glitch. Yeah, he looks
like he's
burnt.
burnt.
Yeah, correct. And they turn him online. and then it goes on a rampage. They have to seal him off. So, I mean, I could see that being the case here. You know,
after the staff meeting? Well, the reason the key is still there when we're playing the game is because that person never made it out of that staff meeting. There's further proof of this, although not solid, in the endo section of the game in Parts and Service, where you can see a secret endo with cake all over its face hiding behind a fence, right next to the door where it has a picture of an endo attacking an adult. After Vanessa does this, the security doors shut at midnight and she spends the night disposing of their bodies and deleting all of the security footage that would hold her accountable. Then, as we see in the FNAF AR emails, Vanessa, having full control of the Fazbear Entertainment system, sends a group of employees on a company retreat. And who else do we see on this list? James Campbell, the same employee she killed to gain access to the system.
James Campbell killing off people.
In the escape ending never identifies the missing people as just kids. It's residents.
That's great.
Yes. That is it.
You've talked to me about that.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
You've talked to me about that. That's great.
When I watched this first time, I yelled out loud because I was just like, that is... Because we see so many things, like when we were talking about the blob and stuff, going, or the 9 kids, they're possessing the blob, or 9 kids, like the missing children, another missing children's incident. It's like, residents. It actually doesn't say children.
Local residents. It doesn't even say employees or anything. It's people who live in this area.
Are missing, and
we assume that they're kids because they seem
pigtails
small,
or they seem shorter.
But no, you're totally right. Yep, and it's like, oh, that's Gregory right there. Maybe not. That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that. That's a great call out. Thankfully. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Complex therapists and anyone else who is getting in the way of Vanny. The company retreat is how she explains the staff's disappearance to the company. She actually used the control she had of the company system a lot, sending and deleting emails to get herself hired and also to get Roxy Raceway built over the old pizzeria. So the staff meeting wasn't just a staff meeting. It was a chance for Vanessa.
Pizzeria. I need to go here. But some of this deeper stuff I need to go into. I know we've been going for a long time, so we need to kind of wrap it up. And but like it's one of those things where some of this stuff. It's details on top of kind of the major thread here, so I don't feel bad about kind of rushing through this at the end. But yeah, this is, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know. I have to double check because and again, that becomes a problem where if all of a sudden, if Vanessa is in control of everything, you can write off, similar to Dream Theory, right? You can write off all the evidence that does or doesn't fit with you, so...
But to make sure that she's the only one working the night shift so she can fulfill Glitchtrap's orders of bringing him back to his physical form. The next mystery involves the arcade machines. There's at least 6 messages detailing weird behavior involving various arcade cabinets. The BB World machine went missing from the daycare theater after it started glitching out while kids were playing. Chica's feeding frenzy won't turn off even when unplugged, and Monty Golf randomly showed up in the middle of the mini golf course. I honestly have no explanation for these ones. I can't tell if this is Steelwool just trying to tell you where the machines are so you can play them, or if there's actually heavy lore implications. But the Princess Quest machines seem to tell a more clear story. An employee is documenting their journey of trying to free the princess through playing all 3 arcade machines. I'm inclined to believe that
it's something that they don't
message entitled Red Flag and the location of the final message of the Princess Quest story.
No, very much so. There was a completely different plot line and I think a completely different ending that required you to follow the glitches or do all the secret endings there. 100%. Steelwool doesn't have to confirm that. That is like it's so obvious that that's what they were doing. And they ran out of time, which is such a shame because I think that would have been the most compelling ending, probably the most interesting plot thread to go through because it really requires you to go to all the different corners. It has that like old school FNAF feel to it where you're solving mini games, all of that stuff. So 100%.
Lewis is the one camping out in the secret daycare room trying to free Vanessa by completing all of the Princess Quest machines. That would line up with his desperation in the emails to figure out if Vanessa is okay. That would also explain that one message where someone made a 911 call from inside the Pizzaplex despite Vanessa saying she was the only one there. And maybe Lewis called 911 because Vanessa found him hiding out and spooked him with her army of staff bots and endos and eventually got him fired.
I like that Vanessa's just depicted as
occupying that
giant
daycare room, which explains both of their possessions
and
stories being present in that room. My only reason that Vanessa didn't straight up kill Lewis is because he was kind of on her side the whole time, so maybe she spared his life. Now we have the mystery of who Gregory is. I genuinely do think that Steelwool intended Gregory to be the rebuilt crying child, but it's easy to say that because the proof we have for that theory is the only real proof we have to identify him. The fact that Freddy says...
I mean, if it's the proof... It's easy to say that because that's the proof that we have. That's the proof that we have! That's it. Yep. It's the proof. That's there. It. Right? It's easy to say that when the proof exists. But what if the proof didn't exist?
But what if I said there was even more proof?
Okay, real quick.
He's broken. The fact that when Freddy gets Roxy's eyes, he suddenly sees Gregory different. The fact that right after Freddy says he's broken, you pass by a group of staff bots reenacting the Give Gifts, Give Life minigame where, wouldn't you know, the bot in the middle representing Golden Freddy is broken. It's the only thing we have to go off of, so obviously some people in the community made that conclusion. Why doesn't Gregory recognize Afton when he sees him? Because Gregory was never alive to see his dad turn into what he is today. Why is there no record of him and why is he homeless? Because he probably faked his name to Freddy and also he's been dead for years at this point. He doesn't have anyone left, except Freddy, who I believe contains the soul of his brother, Michael. I believe Freddy's voice line
this is great theory. Great theory.
Fantastic.
Solid evidence.
Found himself for the first time, aka Michael Afton's soul entered Freddy.
This is a guy who's going places. He's got good thoughts, like I said.
then possessing Freddy, sees Gregory in the audience during a show and is so overwhelmed that it causes a malfunction. Notice the picture of the small child on the screen. Now we have Michael, who is mixed with the programming of Glamrock Freddy. That's why he knows so much about the Pizzaplex, all the while being able to care for Gregory so much and say weird lines like he did in the Afton ending. Michael regrets his actions that led to his brother's death, and now will do anything to protect him. I don't believe the other three animatronics are possessed. I think they're just under Vanny's control through the virus. What is the Blob? I believe MatPat did a fantastic job explaining what the Blob is in his newest theory, and I actually agree with him. In short, the Blob is the result of what happened in Pizzeria Simulator when Henry burns.
See, this is a man who's going to play. Like,
absolutely,
right,
he's got a bright future.
He's got ideas that are worth listening to.
I knew there was a reason we had him on the live stream.
When he did that, their souls may have been freed, but all of the agony was left behind, melding into this one big blob.
Hold up!
Everyone to a crisp. When he did that, their souls may have been freed, but all of the
Yeah, you and I need to talk about this.
Yeah.
It's actually not, yep, it's different.
Yeah, it's a different door.
No, it's not.
Well, not different door.
I mean,
sorry,
it might be a different door. Look, we have to analyze the pattern, because it looks like it's the same diamond.
What happened in Pizzeria Simulator when
door.
Henry burns everyone to a crisp. When he did that, their
the same
souls may have
door.
been freed, but all of the agony.
Oh, it's just turned in.
Yep. So it's not actually. We'll do image manipulation.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that
one. Yep.
for sure.
Behind.
We're working on other theories.
Obviously, all the time.
Constantly working on FNAF theories, and we had one about that specific image because it was called out in our subreddit, and I'm like, that's a really good theory. I'm compelled by that. But now that I look at it again in a larger screen, I think it's the same diamond plating. It's just at a different angle. It's been perspective shifted, so that way it looks like it's folded.
Monster that's determined to do the same thing Afton is trying to do. Return to physical form by collecting old animatronic parts that are displayed across the mall. If you want a more detailed explanation about the Blob, I recommend MatPat's video. I'll link it below. And lastly, who is Patient 46?
I honestly think who is Patient 46?
Go on, Judge, you better answer this.
Shove it to the very, very end. Thank you.
In the last 2 minutes. Result in 2 minutes, guys.
More time to figure out a good way to tell this story. Like I said earlier, it seems like Patient 46 has taken on some of the roles that Vanessa was supposed to have in the story that FNAF AR was setting up. The only real proof that Patient 46 could be Gregory is that the patient is described to be a child. But other than that, nothing really lines up. Let me throw
smart.
Some odd
Gregory is smart. He's kind of hackery.
Connections that I picked up on while re-listening to the CDs. Vanessa mentions compartmentalizing her father and locking him away, which would directly connect her to being Tape Girl. But then who do we play as?
Vanessa's Tape Girl. Oh no.
Yeah, no. There are some connections there. He talks about compartmentalizing it. Also, in the FNAF AR emails, talks about how when Vanessa takes the virus away from this company, she's like, oh, they haven't deleted it. They've isolated it, which is exactly what Tape Girl says they've done.
Oh man. Okay, we'll talk about this.
It's weird.
Okay.
It's
FNAF
weird.
VR. Maybe her sister coming to save her, but since Vanessa's Tape Girl, she tricked her sister, and now we plays Vanessa.
Talk about the virtual girls! It's amazing. Talk about the virtual twins.
We need the bingo card.
Came all the way back. I love that everyone has their pet theory or their thing that they come back to, or like the meme that's associated with them.
Absolutely, and this is his.
Ours is currently Robot Kid and Music Man. This is virtual girls, virtual twins.
Rebel DLC and her sister in FNAF VR, and now they're never mind. The answer is that there's no answer, at least yet. To summarize, I believe the story of Security Breach changed over time. FNAF AR introduced a story that Steel only wanted pieces of, keeping the things they liked and changing the things they didn't. The goal of this video was to make sense of what they were trying to say, while also filling in some gaps of the story we've yet to figure out. I definitely didn't talk about everything, like Vanessa possibly being Elizabeth Afton, or the secret sticky note room. So maybe I'll do a part 2 if you enjoyed this video. Please let me know.
doing a part 2!
I just solved
People did really like this video, so
I'm sure.
But I think I solved it in a way that shows that we cannot solve this game with the current content that we have. Anyways, that's all. I hope you enjoyed, and please subscribe. I am begging. I spent
cool.
Yeah.
That was great. Good job, John. Woo! That was wonderful.
It was.
I enjoyed that. See, I love, and again, to wrap things up here real quick, that's what I love about, again, I love the discussion, right? And I know that it's, for a lot of people out there, it's frustrating to exist in that gray area, right? We want answers, we want clean fits, we want the pieces fit. I mean, that's why these channels exist, right? We are trying to provide as clean of puzzle piece fitting together as we can, or, helping you deepen your appreciation of narratives that have already been done, game design decisions that have already been put out there, things like that. Like, that is what we do, right?
Yeah.
That is why these channels exist and are so fun to do. But sometimes you have games that just really dive into that gray area, or where things don't fit, and you have to be patient with that, and you have to be okay living with like a temporary check mark, a temporary like, okay, we're gonna put a pin in this for now. This is the best
thing.
Yeah, exactly. This is the best guess that we have for now, but let's dive back. Let's reassess. I mean, we're doing this timeline episode right now, looking back at FNAF, and knowing what we know now and diving back into some of that stuff. You're like, oh, that was seeded much earlier, or oh, they decided to really pull on that thread now. They've decided to bring out this part and lessen this part. It's really interesting. And so, just like our theories are constantly evolving, the narrative that's being told is this constant ebb and flow as well. We've talked a couple times about how this started as Dream Theory, and then it became the Afton narrative, and now it seems like it's really the narrative of William Afton specifically and stuff. So like, there's a lot of elements in there that you have to be comfortable just bending and flexing with the franchises as they come and go. So anyway, thank you, Tom, for joining me on the couch for yet another FNAF episode. Now you can go and tell John everything so that way he can work it into part 2. Your turncoat. And I'm gonna have the IT department watch your emails for red flags.
Red flag me.
don't you be ordering any thumb screws anytime soon.
Note to self.
We got you. We don't have an IT department. We're gonna make it. Pretend we're an IT department. Note to self. Pretend there's an IT department. Gaslight him. So anyway, that's all we have for today. But you can bet there'll be more. And next time Tom's on the couch, we'll get him to talk about Sunk or something.
That would be great.
That'd be great. The song. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. And as always, remember, it wasn't a live stream, but it was a video for you. See ya.